It's Thursday, January 18th, and this is your coffee break on the HAN Network. I'm Kate Czaplinski with the latest local news, including an escaped inmate captured, a Norwalk drug bust, and much more. Donald Eng joins me today to preview our front pages in addition to his daily look back on this day in history. And Frank Granito will also have a look at your forecast and a Nutmeg Sports update. But first, the inmate who escaped from Carl Robinson Correctional Facility in Enfield has been captured in Georgia. Now, inmate Jerry Mercado has been apprehended following his escape on Sunday, January 7th. Officials say a full-scale search and investigation by multiple public safety agencies and departments resulted in Mercado's capture Wednesday by the Canton, Georgia Police Department. A tip received by the U.S. Marshals Fugitive Task Force was quickly communicated with law enforcement in Georgia, which led to Mercado's location at a Canton gas station. Now, once returned to the state, escapee Mercado will be transported to the Northern Correctional Institution, where he will be referred for placement on the agency's highest level of supervision, known as administrative segregation. And the Shelton Police Department arrested a Torrington man for allegedly sexually assaulting an underage victim that he met online. Now, on January 16th, the Shelton Police Department arrested and charged 45-year-old Christopher Galvin of Torrington with fourth-degree sexual assault and second-degree harassment. Now, according to police, that arrest stems from a complaint taken by Shelton Police Youth Bureau back in March of 2017. The complaint stated that a 17-year-old juvenile met Galvin in an online chat room back in 2013 when she was 13 years old. Well, Galvin allegedly presented himself as a 22-year-old man at the time, and the two became friends. Police said that over time, Galvin began to drive to Shelton to meet the victim, and one of those times she fell asleep in his car and awoke to him sexually assaulting her. Well, after Galvin learned that the juvenile made a complaint to the police, he continued to email and text message her, trying to justify what he had done. Now, police say additional arrests are expected to be made in that case. And in other news, Norwalk police have arrested two men in connection to a 3-month investigation into the sale of crack cocaine and other drugs. Police say that Special Services investigators conducted a lengthy investigation into Christopher McDowell's drug sale activities at 8 Charcoal Road. Now, during this time, investigators made 3 controlled purchases of crack cocaine from the 49-year-old Christopher McDowell and co-conspirator, 48-year-old Scott Kotzma. Now, on January 16th, Special Services Division executed a search and seizure warrant at that address. McDowell and Kotzma were both located inside and both were taken into custody. Now, upon searching the residence, officers found over 300 grams of cocaine packaged in a 3.5-gram weights bag for sale. Investigators also found over 300 grams of marijuana packaged for sale. Investigators seized packaging material and drug paraphernalia, as well as a military-grade ballistic vest. Now, investigators also discovered a 12-foot trailer that was parked on the property. That trailer was found to have been stolen out of Milford back in February of 2017. At the time of the theft, the trailer contained tools and other power equipment, and investigators found that the trailer did contain a large volume of equipment at the time of their search. And the Connecticut Post reports that judicial marshals and maintenance staff at Bridgeport's Golden Hill Street Courthouse discovered a grisly scene Wednesday morning. Investigating a bad smell in a large arraignment court, they discovered 2 headless, multicolored chickens under a bench in the audience area. Now, the bodies, feet side up, were decorated in a silver, green, and gold glitter. Now, there was no immediate indication how the decapitated chickens got there, and that incident is under investigation. Now, there have been a number of incidents of decapitated chickens being placed outside both the Golden Hill and Main Street courthouses in the past, but this is the first time they have been discovered inside one of the court buildings. Now, according to the Connecticut Post, the placement of decapitated chickens is part of Santeria, an Afro-Caribbean religion, and is used in a spell to protect a person from being found guilty of a crime. And in other news, Fairfield police have released surveillance photos of a suspect they say stole wallets and cash from shoppers. Now, this was first reported back on November 19th when Fairfield police received multiple reports from customers informing them that their wallets and/or cash had been removed from their handbags while shopping. Now, some wallets were later found together in the parking lot where it was discovered that the cash was missing. Now, these incidents occurred at the Stop and Shop grocery store and at Whole Foods in Fairfield. Similar incidents occurred in Westport with the same suspect. Now, police released the photo of the suspect and his vehicle while it was at Stop and Shop. If you have any information regarding the identity of that person, you can contact the Fairfield Police Department at 203-254-4840. And Darien resident Abadobi Kurilov, who's 37 years old, was arrested for kicking a New Canaan police officer as the officer tried to take her into custody after she was recognized riding her bike by an officer who knew there was an outstanding warrant for her arrest. Now, on Monday, January 15th, around 4:48 p.m., an officer stopped Kurilov on Main Street near Burtis Avenue after the officer followed behind her in a patrol car and saw her break traffic laws, such as failing to indicate a turn using hand signals. Well, at police headquarters, she was not cooperative during booking process, according to police, and interfered with officers when they tried to fingerprint her. Now, she posted a $5,000 bond for the warrant and failure to appear in court in the second degree, and another $5,000 bond for interfering with an officer and assault on a public safety personnel. She was given a court date of January 25th. All right, taking a turn now, going to throw it over to Frank Granito for your forecast. Frank.
All right, thank you, Kate. Colder out today as we're seeing temperatures sitting in the low 30s. Going to feel more like 20 to 24 with the wind chill, but we will have sunny skies throughout the day. Not too breezy either. A light gust just over 10 miles per hour. Mostly clear tonight. A low of 15 degrees heading into Friday. Mostly sunny skies Friday. We will see some early morning cloud cover, maybe appearing again later on in the day. High of around 35, but things will start to warm up overnight. A low of 27 with mostly clear skies before Saturday. Should be a little more mild out this weekend. We're looking at a high of 44 on Saturday, but it is going to be pretty breezy out there. Wind gusts anywhere between 25 to 30 miles per hour. Clear skies overnight, a low of 29. Should be even warmer out on Sunday. That'll do it for this weather update. Let's go back over to Kate.
All right, thanks so much, Frank. We're going to step out for a break. When we come back, Donald Eng will give us a look back on this day in history. Frank has your Nutmeg Sports Update, and we have more local news after this.
Get a fresh start to the new year by shaking up your meal routine. Walter Stewart's Market is your local source for a delicious selection of fresh and convenient salad shakers, like Southwest salad with chicken, Cobb with organic chicken, Power Vegan with fruit and quinoa, Greek salad with tabbouleh, and grilled shrimp with hominy. Grab one from our salad case or order from our deli today. Walter Stewart's Market, 229 Elm Street, New Canaan, or shop online at stewartsmarket.com.
At Rings End, we say it's time to re-love your home, time to refresh and reinvigorate the way you live. And whether you're redoing something big or small, remember the letters RE stand for Rings End. We're the new model in home remodeling.
Well, there's still a bite out on the water. Most anglers have decided to stow the gear for the winter. Just because Mother Nature isn't cooperating doesn't mean you can't see the latest models of all your favorite gear. With two convenient locations, it couldn't be easier to get your fix of summer. Boater, beach bum, fisherman, or simply love the New England coast, this is a unique place to shop. The Dock Shop, 51 Tokenique Road, Darien, 609 Riverside Avenue, Westport, or on the web, dockshop.com. Well, there's still...
Welcome back to this January 18th edition of your Coffee Break on the HAN Network. Time to take a look back on this day in history with Donald Eng. Don.
Well, Kate, you know, we have meetings on the history lesson today. First, 1562, Pope Pius IV convenes the Council of Trent for its third and final session, which would govern Catholicism for 4 centuries. Now, if you're older than about 55, you may remember the Tridentine Mass, the priest mumbling inaudibly while facing away from the congregation. That was originated at the Council of Trent. Also, the current Mass, called the Mass of Pope Paul VI. That started in about 1970. Also, the Vulgate Bible, adopted as the official translation at the Council, though it didn't yet exist and wouldn't for 35 more years. The Vulgate was the official Catholic Church Bible until 1970, when it was replaced by the Novum Vulgate. 1778 now, James Cook, the first known European to sight the Hawaiian Islands, which he names the Sandwich Islands, after his buddy, the Earl of Sandwich. That is the same guy, by the way, who, according to legend, invented the practice of eating meat between 2 slices of bread. Traditional Hawaiian sandwich, 2 grilled slices of Spam topped by American cheese and a canned pineapple ring served on a hamburger bun. If you ever get a chance to try one, pass it up. 1993 now, 25 years ago, Martin Luther King Jr. Day, officially recognized for the first time in all 50 states. Arizona, the last holdout, approving the holiday under threat from the National Football League, of all things. Believe it or not, 2 states, Alabama and Mississippi, combined the holiday with a commemoration of Robert E. Lee's birthday. Virginia and Arkansas used to do the same thing well into the 21st century. Finally, now we go back 99 years to France for this.
In January 1919, 2 months after the armistice, the delegates of the victorious powers arrived in Paris for the peace conference to draw up the terms to be offered to the defeated countries. In all, the representatives of 27 nations attended that conference. But of all the statesmen who came to Paris to settle the peace, the most important were President Wilson of the United States, Georges Clemenceau, the French Premier, and Lloyd George, Prime Minister of Britain. Each had very different ideas of what to do about the central problem of Germany.
That, of course, was the Paris Peace Conference that convened in Paris 99 years ago today. This would lead to the Treaty of Versailles, ending World War I. Now, Woodrow Wilson had sought peace without victory, as he called it, because he feared that if England and France got their way and took revenge on Germany, extremist forces would come to power and lead the world into war again. That's exactly what happened, actually, as Germany was forced to accept sole responsibility for the war and pay massive reparations and forfeit land. As you look back in history for today, January 18th, and I'm Donald Ng.
All right, thanks so much, Don. We'll see you later for front page previews. But in other local news, a Reading man had minor injuries as a result of his car rolling over early Wednesday morning. Now, the car rolled over on Cross Highway in Reading at about 4:30 in the morning. The driver, Carlos Benton of Portland Avenue, was reported to have minor injuries. Now, that vehicle, a 2011 GMC Acadia, was towed by Smitty's Auto Body in Bethel, and that case remains under investigation. Well, Hearst, Connecticut media reports that Connecticut missed the cut for the 20 finalists to get a second headquarters of Amazon, with New York City, Boston, and Newark, New Jersey still in the mix. Now, Amazon expects to make a final decision by the end of 2018, with the company planning to invest $5 billion and create as many as 50,000 jobs in the city it selects, envisioning it as a full-fledged equal to its headquarters in Seattle. Now, Connecticut Governor Daniel P. Malloy's administration had pushed a joint proposal for Stamford and Hartford as headquarters sites, with Bridgeport and New Haven also submitting a pitch among 238 areas nationally that recruited Amazon. And Bridgeport, Fairfield, Milford, and Shelton are among 18 towns that together have filed a lawsuit against pharmaceutical companies blaming opioid abuse on aggressive and fraudulent marketing of painkillers. Now, that action, filed in the Connecticut Superior Court in the Judicial District of Waterbury, includes several other area towns. Now, the municipalities seek what the lawsuit calls compensatory and punitive damages for the millions of dollars that they spend each year to combat the public nuisance created by the drug companies' deceptive marketing campaign that misrepresents the safety and efficacy of long-term opioid use. Now, the filing follows similar action filed last year on behalf of the city of Waterbury against pharmaceutical manufacturers to address the opioid crisis. There's much more on that story at milfordmirror.com. And an informal survey of Monroe businesses and realtors found that Fairfield, Newtown, and Trumbull were all deemed friendly to new businesses, while Monroe was slammed for having an arduous, circuitous zoning process. Now, the town's Economic Development Commission wants to remedy that situation, and that push continued Thursday when commissioners hosted local businessman Bernie Sippen for a roundtable discussion about ways to improve the town's business climate. Now, Sippen owns a local heating oil business as well as several large commercial properties, including Century Plaza on Monroe Turnpike, which is where Big Y is located. Sippen recently drove south along Main Street from the New Canaan border at the north to the Trumbull line, and he says he counted 90 empty businesses, a phenomenon that he owes to a reputation the town has earned as a difficult place in which to establish a business. Now, Sippen recently says he lost a potential tenant at one of his commercial properties because zoning officials told that business that the owner of the commercial trucks could not be parked on the property, even using a rear parking lot. Another regulation, he said, forbade a business owner from having any construction equipment at his site, which prevented the owner from proceeding with a construction project. There's much more on that discussion at monroecourier.com. We're going to throw it over to Frank Granito now for your Nutmeg Sports Update. Frank.
All right, thank you, Kate. And a big upset in FCIAC basketball last night, getting their first win of the season on the road were the Fairfield Ludlow Falcons as they took down the Western Division leading Trumbull Eagles. 57-52 the final from the Black Hole. Leading the way for the Falcons, Jeff Myers had 17 points. Not far behind him, Cooper Nielsen coming up with 16. And behind 2 3-pointers, Jaden DeBoy also in double digits. He finished with 11 points. Tamon Williams led all scorers in the game with 19. And also continuing their hot play right now, the Bridgeport Central Hilltoppers, who are now tied for first in the West following their 82-69 victory over the Staples Wreckers. Dejan Fulton with 21 points, Raycon Riley with 20, and Rajiv Walker with 19 points. We've got plenty more on FCIAC hoops coming up later on today, 2 o'clock on Nutmeg Sports. Kevin Coleman and I will be joined by the head coach of Fairfield Ward, Ryan Swaller, as we get ready for our coverage of tonight's big matchup. Wilton traveling to Ward, tip-off at 7 p.m. We're on the air at 6:50, but catch up with us at 2 o'clock before that. For now, catch up with Kate as we go back over to her.
All right, thanks so much, Frank. We're going to step out for a break, and when we come back, Donald Eng joins me to preview our front pages this week after this.
If you've ever thought about owning a motor coach or learning about what it's like to travel the open road in superior style and comfort, then contact Dave's RV Center in Danbury, Connecticut. Offering the best quality Class A motorhomes from Newmar, travel trailers and fifth wheel lines from Surveyor, and a toy hauler line from Work and Play. Choose from Newmar's Gas Line, Baystar and Canyon Star, or from Newmar's Diesel Line, Ventana and Dutch Star. And with unparalleled service and maintenance, Dave's RV is committed to keeping you and your motor coach safely on the road and enjoying it to the fullest. Stop by their showroom, 2 Industrial Plaza Road, Danbury, Connecticut, or call 877-483-3866.
Dr. Stephen Molinaro and Peter Healy of Family Practice Dentistry and Laser Dental Care have served Ridgefield for over 22 years. Experienced staff offer gentle drillless techniques, preventative care, and cosmetic procedures in a relaxed environment. Grateful for the community's trust and support through the years, new patients and their families are welcome. Call today.
At Budget Blinds, we're in business to frame the light, the day, and the night. So we give you an exclusive combination of high style, expert service, our no surprises pricing, and our no questions asked warranty. We believe that everyone, at every budget, deserves style and service. Isn't that a beautiful place to be?
Welcome back to this Thursday edition of your Coffee Break on the HAN Network. Our Trumbull Times editor, Donald Eng, joining me today to preview our front pages. Don, what are you looking at first?
Well, first I'm looking at Easton, and you see Tom McMorrin there detailing Easton's school budget proposal. This time of year, always big news in all of these communities. The school budget, the primary driver of municipal budgets and, by extension, your municipal taxes.
Yeah, all right. Well, I'm taking a look at the Weston Forum, and kind of a similar story there with their superintendent discussing his goals and challenges in the coming years. So more on that in this week's Weston Forum.
I have the Reading Pilot here, and a very dramatic story. I heard screaming coming from the tracks. A witness to a train accident describes the scene.
All right, thanks so much, Don. All right, well, I'm taking a look at the Wilton Bulletin now, and a story you're going to see pretty much in all of our papers this week, and that's about the flu season. Some of this based on just a horrible tragedy in New Canaan where a 10-year-old boy died of flu complications, but I know a lot of our papers talking to their local officials about that. Also, a roadwork project at Grumman Hill may be the victim of state funding woes, and rail failure hikes are also likely, so some concerns there for some commuters in Wilton, and of course the town budget season begins.
I have the Stratford Star here, and of course the top story there again. A lot of large and significant construction projects in Stratford, also being put on the back burner by the DOT postponements of these transportation projects. Also, editor Melvin Mason with a big story here, working toward Dr. King's beloved community. A very large MLK Day event in Stratford. The town always does a great job commemorating Martin Luther King Day.
All right, another town that does a great job is Milford. Taking a look at the Milford Mirror this week, they also had their Martin Luther King ceremony, so more on that in this week's Milford Mirror. Also tonight, there is a plan will air at City Hall, and that's on creating a transit-oriented development in Milford, so more on that at that meeting. Also, the Milford Library getting a grant for indoor expansion is planned there. And next year's kindergarten will have a delayed start, so those kindergartners don't get tired out by a full week of school. More on that in the Milford Mirror.
Well, I have in my hands the Trumbull Times, and a spectacular
wow, what an
amazing
newspaper.
It's well written, it's well edited. The first off, Ashley Gaudiano, who just got elected to the town council a week ago, this is about her first term on the town council, is now going to run for the 134th district in the state house, challenging Laura Devlin there, who just announced this morning that she's running. Also, Trumbull, honored by the College Board for their advanced placement performance. 5 years ago, 500 Trumbull students took AP classes. This year, 950 taking AP classes. So something we're very proud about in Trumbull, the school system, and certainly the College Board now honoring Trumbull for its commitment to AP classes.
All right, well, taking a look at the Shelton Herald this week, Inland Wetlands is scheduling some public hearings for Shelter Ridge. That's been a controversial proposal, so more on that in the Shelton Herald. Also, just a bizarre story, but a former Shelton High School student was captured as a fugitive from justice for murder in Texas. He was captured in Ansonia. More on that in this week's paper. And also an Ansonia man arrested for some burglaries in Shelton.
Well, I have the Monroe Courier here, and the first thing that caught my eye, of course, was of all things a frozen waterfall there. That's actually the dam that holds back Lake Zor. The spillway there completely froze over when it was about 5 degrees for a couple of days last week. And then the other thing was that the economic development and zoning rules really requiring overhaul. That's something that's an ongoing issue in Monroe with their zoning rules. So they're going to be taking a look at that now.
All right, taking a look at the Darien Times this week. Metro North fares may go up 10% this summer. Also, a really just powerful story, a survivor story written by Britton Barthold, who's a former Darien High football player. He talks about his depression and his suicide attempts. He says in part, when you break your wrist, people rush to come sign your cast, but if you admit being depressed, everyone runs away. It's a really powerful piece that he submitted to the Darien Times, so definitely read that. And budget talks continue for the Board of Ed, and also wishing a happy 100th to a Darien resident.
Well, in the New Canaan Advertiser, of course, the top story, that tragic story that we've been covering. A 4th grader has succumbed to flu complications. Nico Malazzi, 10-year-old West School 4th grader, unexpectedly dying while on a hockey tournament trip. Also, another Martin Luther King Day commemoration, the appalling Silence of the Good, remembering Martin Luther King Jr. and his courage. Both of those topping the New Canaan Advertiser this week.
All right, well, taking a look at the Ridgefield Press this week, another big story connected to Reading as well was that train accident. Thankfully, the driver was able to get out of the car before the train collided with it, but there is some talk about that dangerous train crossing there. Also about trains, Branchville train station could lose some trains if plans go forward with Metro North as planned. And another women's march and gathering planned this weekend in New York City. There are buses leaving from Ridgefield for that.
And finally for me, I have the Arts and Leisure section in front of me, topped by the Carriage Barn Arts Center, highlighting local shutterbugs. The great, I don't know why, I find that photo of the skee-ball machines so compelling. Probably because I spent so much time and energy on skee-ball back when I was a kid. Also, when you think chilly and snowy Sundays, you think Julia Roberts there, the food column there from Tina Marie Craven. What better way to spend a freezing cold indoor Sunday than some Julia Roberts movies and making a crock of chili.
All right, Don. And also out this week in our papers is health and fitness. Just some great, obviously perfect time of year for this, but tennis, the sport of a lifetime. Also a feature on running and some ways to eat healthier in 2018. So check all of that out. All right, those are all our papers, Don. Thanks so much for joining me today.
You know, always fun to see the great work being done by our editors out there in the community.
Yes. All right, well, we are going to wrap things up here on our coffee break, but still a busy day, so stay tuned to the HAN Network. No coffee break tomorrow, but there will be boys basketball at 7 p.m., so check it out and have a great weekend. We'll see you next time.